Hey everybody, clearing. All right, this is going to be a little bit of a different reading. We're going to do masculines on the left, feminines on the right, and take a look at the current sexual energies that are playing out at this stage in the connection. So first off, thank you Divine Creator for using me as a channel of only the highest, most beneficial information coming through. What can we see for the collective that joins me here? Where is the sexual energy, the connection at right now? 9 of Candles and 2 of Shells in the inverse. Perseverance and focusing on the love. The 2 of Shells, that's like the 2 of Cups in the inverse. We saw this in a recent reading where we're being asked energetically to really focus on the love within us and keep this perseverance of the sovereignty. This combination actually could mean celibacy, abstinence, focus on the love, not the lust. Let's see, how is this playing out in the physical circumstances of the masculines and the feminines? Look at that. The 2 of Cups came up here, and the Empress for you feminines. So know your worth, trust the love. And for the masculines, waiting for the right opportunity to sweep you off your feet, I just heard. So this is sacred, this is destined, this is higher love, this is star path of destiny. Look at this. We've got the masculines just waiting for the destined moment and the feminines knowing their worth and trusting the love. So that really is sacred sexuality, more so than I've ever seen it before. All right, let's get into the chakra alignment. So thank you, Divine Creator. What are the energies the masculines and the feminines are in at this time? Oops, I second guessed. I was supposed to turn that over intuitively and I didn't. There we go, corrected. For the masculines here. Oh, I just saw the star again. Double confirmation. Masculines know that there is a fated energy in the future that will bring timing and alignment in. So they're being given intuitive guidance about that. What can we see for the feminines regarding this period of stability, period of celibacy, abstinence, moving from lust to love, I'm hearing again. Okay, so connection to source. Masculines are getting the inner work with self-love. So no more instant gratification and looking for external pleasure. This is a deep dive with their connection to source about righteousness regarding intimacy. Lust versus love. How are the feminines speaking to the divine, to their connection to God? Wow. Taking measures to understand your sexual worth, your spiritual worth. This is a brand new beginning in the physical that's going to lead to your long-term success. That deep exhale. So feminines, there are themes that the divine source creator is showing you about sexual energy and codependency from past scenarios, and this is like turning over a new leaf because this is the first relationship that you are willing to consummate in a righteous energy. Even if you've already been sexually involved with this person, there is a period of time for restructuring the connection to consummate it in a righteous way. And this is a time to let go of the codependency associated with previous false starts. What can we see for the intuition for the masculines? King of Pentacles about, there's the 2 of Cups again. Again, this is the commitment to love, not lust. So masculines are really using their intuition right now to understand where they have undermined that which they are truly asking for. They want real love, but the way that they have approached connections, hookups, player, energy hasn't been serving. They're willing to go the distance to ground the real thing. So they're looking at this intuitively and seeking their own shortcomings and blind spots regarding love. You are inspiring them. This love is inspiring them to channel that sexual energy in other directions, into their abundance, into this foundation, into creating a framework in their lives for success. What can we see for the feminines here? Wow, we get sort of the Two of Cups for the fourth time. It's the Three of Cups in the inverse, which is pointing at more than friends here. Intuitively, there could be so many ways to interpret what's going on in your connection, but it's more than friends. So feminines, this is about affirming that even if your masculine isn't saying things outright, it is a developmental a developmental motion, and it will come in time. There's so much love here. We've got it like the 4 different Two of Cups. Trust that if you are accurately reading the room and this counterpart is putting in this sincere focus in evolving spiritually, evolving into their highest version of self, and that you are connected to this masculine, you don't have to buy into illusion. You can trust that it's far deeper than friends here. If this is your story, continue to dispel fear and uncertainty by coming into the facts that have actually happened and are knowable in your dynamic. You should have actual truths, observable truths in your dynamic that show you this is more than friends, from their side, from your side. So affirm those things. Don't dismiss or downplay the real signs that this is a love connection and not a lust connection. What can we see for the throat chakra? 2 of Swords in the inverse. So that's a blockage, and 8 of Swords. This is freeing themselves. So this is talking about how any kind of sexual energy that has been too intense to master at certain times, this has been part of the reason that possibly they've blocked you or taken space, stepped back, is because they could not control themselves when it came to you feminines, and they've had to remove themselves because it's too much of a temptation. They had to self-regulate this way, and that may have looked like trying to gain their bearings by shutting you out so they could stabilize again and come into more of a balanced place. Conversely, you may have made them so nervous that they were so aware of, I heard, putting their foot in their mouth or not being able to speak or being nervous around you, that they had to calm themselves, collect themselves, and needed a little bit of time to do so. The first card that came out is this blockage card in the inverse, so they are finding a way to free themselves from whatever ailed them in this regard, and they're starting to feel a lot more equipped to show up without needing those false constructs of security like blocking or ghosting. I want to be careful with that, because there's an outright ignorant way of ghosting, and then there is a valid way of not having to explain oneself, and that it's understood that space is needed. Learn to read the difference for your situation. I'm hearing if you want to get a session with me so I can help you, go for it. Links below. What can we see on the throat chakra for the feminines? Tower and the Empress. So there's something, a major change that's occurring in the feminines' lives right now to bring in abundance. I heard we're all going through it. So whatever is playing out that needs to end once and for all, it is connected with your abundance, and your abundance is connected with your union timelines. And so whatever needs to change first, you're meant to be focusing on interpreting the energies regarding that thing and allowing it to run its course so that it's thorough, so it's done, so that the energy is balanced, and your abundance therefore will never be stolen from you again. I'm getting that feminines, you are master manifestors just like your divine counterparts, and that many times in the past you've seen how absolutely proficient you are at manifesting, but it's never stuck. And that's because it's been connected with ego, it's been connected with karma, and so it's been helping propel you into knowing how to manifest. You've been preparing to manifest in alignment all of your life, but you haven't yet, is what I heard. And so now, whatever these changes are, they're going to be lasting. Your abundance is actually going to stick. But that does require communicating, standing up for yourself, coming into the embodiment of what is right, not just the theory or the emotional awareness or the spiritual understanding. It's going to be also played out in the densest realm, which is the physical. So if the changes that need to happen haven't fully played out in the physical, just know that they need to, for your abundance to come in fully. Okay, what can we see on the solar plexus? Seven of Swords, regarding this period of abstinence, celibacy, anticipation. Wow, yeah, Seven of Swords, Lord of unstable effort, and who? The Empress for the third time. So we've got the Two of Cups and the Empress, the abundance, the divine feminine. These masculines have chosen you. They know that the efforts have been unstable in the past because of the volatile energy that wasn't yet aligned, but that the chemistry was so intense. They also know, I heard some of them want to get you pregnant or want to be pregnant. Take it how it resonates. That's not going to be for everyone. There have been unstable efforts. There's a divine timing that's connected to the sexuality and the respect, the honor, the reverence of the sacred sexuality here, the empowered sexuality. So these masculines are understanding what it means to fully commit in a sacred sexual way, a monogamous way, a righteous divine way. And that alone is true empowerment, the kind of legacy that children would thrive in, I heard. Now that can also be the contribution of passion projects and love on the home front, but there is a very predominant energy of children, so blended families, actual children, or birth children. They don't want to come in and be a negative influence for children or for those who are less spiritually mature. They want to come in as a divine being, and a truly empowered being. What are the feminines experiencing regarding this energy, sexual energy in the connection? The Fool and the Nine of Swords. Okay, so the anxieties, the guesswork, it's being eliminated here. So feminines, if you're very honest, you will understand that the pace that this connection is taking to anchor, to ground, is at a rate where your anxieties are being calmed one after another in preparation for full sacred union. So in the past, there may have been some hesitancies or some energies that were not fully secure in the connection for whatever reason. on the developmental path to sacred union, each one of those anxious awarenesses are being calmed, balanced, rectified towards sacred union. Sacred union is not meant to bind people and then they hope that they can be righteous together after that fact. Sacred union is two people who have come into alignment and have the ability to acknowledge and exchange that with each other. And so anxiety is one of our greatest teachers, that there is a lack of readiness. If there are questions, insecurities, imbalances, elephants in the room, we're not there yet. And so it's all preparation for union. But this is something that the feminines are really allowing to have its way with them, that they don't need to rush, that these things in fact need to be balanced first for success. What can we see for the sacral chakra? Queen of Swords, and letting it sink in. There's a masculine decapitated here, yeah? So these masculines know that you are the righteous one that can tell fact from fiction. It's really sinking in that you're not going to preach, you're not going to chase, you're not going to convince, you're not going to be their teacher. You're their match, but you are the gold standard. You are the impeccable standard. You are their mirror. Something is sinking in even harder right now, that you are the one whose opinion matters most. You are the mirror, that they desire to be righteous in order to approach. They cannot look you in the eye unless they can look themselves in the mirror. And it's really sinking in here regarding this sexual connection. This is the thing that they have not shown anyone aside from you, is how this aspect of monogamy is tied to self-worth, guilt and shame, righteousness, and how you are the one that they know is sensitive enough to them to tell whether they are in alignment or not, whether they are ready or not. They know you held the power to say yes or no, and they do not want to be told no. They do not want anything, no blemish, no hiccups, no cause for you to say no off with their head. They don't want that, feminines. And so on the sacral chakra, they are in this purge, this abstinence, this celibacy, so that they can refine. It's really sinking in. The Four of Swords comes after the Three of Swords, which is the karmic or the third party kind of energy. So another message here about these masculines not desiring other people. And some of them may have scared themselves recently by considering other energies, staying with other energies, seeking other energies, and they've realized they don't want that. Not just because it would make you unhappy or sad or disappointed or neutral, but because it wouldn't feel good to them. They wouldn't be able to look you in the eye with a clear conscience because it's not their truth to do that. So for all those that are going to roast me in the comments, it's vice versa. Feminines, sometimes you lose hope in the journey and you consider, should I have other options, etc.? Should I look for someone else? It's the same kind of thing when you talk yourself down from that ledge. These masculines have also realized that they could go out there and play the field like old times, but that would not suffice. Or they could continue repairing with karmic partners, but that will not suffice. So sexually here, they are going through a sexual revolution. What can we see on the sacral for the feminines? Burning of karmic contracts, Two of Pentacles. So if there are any legal contracts or affiliations, lingering karmic contracts, things still playing out financially or legally or in the material realm, on the sacral chakra, it is of utmost importance, feminines, that you understand that you are not sexually free in that pure monogamous way, even if you want to be, even if you feel like your heart chooses your counterpart. If there is still anything binding you to anybody else in any way, you are not absolutely free to be with your counterpart. So there are changes that are happening in the physical that have to play out so that all of the past energies are closed. I'm hearing even like a purification ceremony or cord cutting. If it's not legal, it's emotional, it's spiritual. So do a ceremony somehow here, feminines, to really cut the cords, cut the ties to anything in the past, so that you are actually on every level clear from past sexual energy. Specifically, if you've never cut the cords to all your past lovers, if that applies, it's time to do so, and to purify between you and source, to prepare to consummate in divine love. What can we see for the masculines on the root chakra? 10 of Swords and separation. Okay, Lord of Ruin, abandonment wound, and being left out in the cold. This is a very stark revelation to be having in the material realm on the root chakra. I just heard for the rest of my life and if my life depends on it. This is a very sincere awareness that if they can't have you, they don't want anyone, feminines. They've never met somebody who represents pure love like you do. They really believe that only happens once in a lifetime. And so it is really sinking in that unless they come into their divinity, into their alignment, fully, completely, they're no match for you. They want to be, but it does require them to fully embody their truth. Even if they're one iota out of alignment, it feels like they're in the far reaches of the universe, especially with those minutia energies. What's big is small and small is big. This is impeccable. Divine love is perfect. When we actually have true love for someone, there is no one else. We feel worthy. We are in our mastery. You cannot have true love without two masters. And these masculines understand how near and far they are from this love with you. And in this period of abstinence or celibacy or both here, they're truly understanding the magnitude of sacred sexuality and true safety in intimacy. How are the feminines experiencing this? The anxiety is being calmed here, and the Three of Pentacles in the material realm. I'm hearing the anxiety, the voice of the anxiety having been things like, I'm not cool enough, young enough, thin enough, fun enough. If I don't relax and just sort of look for other people or be more flirtatious or have sex more casually before, or I'll lose the attraction from my counterpart. All of those cutting corners, less than righteous chatter have been calmed and are being calmed in this period of celibacy, in embodiment, in the physical, in the material realm. And so this prolonged period of preparation is taking a fine-tooth comb to all of the ways that you let yourself down, feminines, that you are no longer doing so for any manner of excuses. You have Begin to self-regulate and know your worth and trust this love. As you trust and know your worth, this love illuminates more and more profoundly, but you have to come into that righteousness first in order to be shown more of this love unfolding. Okay, so let's get a little message from each counterpart. What would the masculines say to the feminines here about this energy? Happiness is my priority. And that includes not wanting to be away from you, but learning to identify what their emotions and their heart is actually saying to them. So they're not seeking any third parties, because that's the Three of Cups, I believe. It's in the inverse. They're really looking at what works for them, and they're not spreading their energy outward at this time. This is a confirmation that they are containing their sexual energy and understand the value of that for the long term. What can we see for what the feminines would say? Time to ground yourself. I'm ready. I still don't have all the answers. Love is the answers. I'm too afraid to talk. So these feminines are staying put, staying in the awareness that you're the one that they want, masculines. They don't have the answers. They're staying in an open readiness. They know love prevails, and they know that love is guiding them to stay where they're at, so that when it's time to talk from your side, they are receptive, but they are feeling it's not their onus to strike up this conversation of readiness or to ground this connection. They don't have the answers because they are the ones that will respond to your advance in the name of love when you see fit to come forward. And so they're in magnetic energy. So it's not necessarily fear, but the anxiety that we saw a few times for the feminines is dissipating. And that also is going hand in hand with your readiness and refinement to come forward and look them in the eye, masculines. So we just see this tension being released. You know, sometimes we hear the tension is building. This is more like the tension is being released so that what we want can come in on both sides, in both regard. All right, many blessings, everyone. Bye for now.